All right, let's talk about a piece of tech most of us probably think is long gone: microfilm. You know, those little spools of film with tiny pictures on them that you see in old movies or in the back of a library. So you gotta ask, right? We've got cloud storage, we've got instant data access on our phones. Surely this thing is completely obsolete. I mean, it's gotta be. Well, the answer might actually surprise you, because this isn't a story about a technology dying out. Nope. This is a story about permanence, a kind of permanence that our digital world, frankly, just can't touch. We are talking about a 500-year lifespan. So how on earth is that possible? 500 years? It's not magic. It's something way more reliable. The whole reason microfilm is still a major player in serious archives all comes down to one single, incredibly important international standard. And here it is: ISO 18901. You might see it called LE500. Now that LE is the important part. It stands for life expectancy. This is the global benchmark, the rule that says, hey, if you create this specific kind of microfilm on a polyester base and you store it right, it has a potential useful life of half a millennium. This is the absolute gold standard for preservation. Just think about that number for a second. 500 years. Now think about a file you saved to a floppy disk, or even a CD, just 15, maybe 20 years ago. Can you even find a drive to read it? Will the software you use today even exist in 50 years? Microfilm just sidesteps all of that. So why is it so incredibly tough? It's all about simplicity. First off, it's analog and it's human readable. That just means you don't need a computer. You don't need software or an operating system that'll be obsolete in a decade. You just need light and a lens. It's also a globally standardized format, so everyone's on the same page. And the maintenance? You just stick it in a cool, dry place. That's it. All of this makes it a shockingly low-cost way to make sure vital information sticks around for centuries. Okay, so it's durable. We get it. But who is actually buying this stuff today? I mean, is there a real active market for it? Oh yeah, it's a surprisingly big deal. And here's the real kicker. It's not just a good idea. For many institutions, it's the law. For major government archives, if a record is deemed permanent, using microfilm that meets that LE500 standard isn't just an option. It's often a legal requirement. And you can see this playing out all over the world. In the US, it's all about following those government rules for preservation. In the UK, they use it to create the ultimate master copies of their digital files. In China, they're using it to preserve ancient texts and historical newspapers. So you've got major world governments all relying on this same tech for their most irreplaceable records. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is straight from the US National Archives. You know, the people in charge of keeping America's entire history safe. They say it plain and simple. It's low cost, it's reliable, and it's built for the long haul. For them, it is the ultimate backup. But just when you think you've got a 500-year plan all sorted out, the modern world and its messy supply chains throw a massive wrench in the works. This stable, predictable market is in for a big change. So here's the news that's sending shockwaves through the archival world. Fujifilm, one of the biggest suppliers out there, has announced they're stopping production. Their final order date is in late 2025. This is a huge deal, and it's forcing basically everyone who relies on this stuff to figure out a plan B, and fast. So what happens now? Well, the market is adapting, and it's actually pretty fascinating. You kind of have two paths emerging. On one side, you have the established players, who often use proprietary cassettes that lock you into their specific hardware. On the other side, you've got a new approach using more open roll film. The big difference? This open system gives archives more flexibility and makes them less dependent on a single company, which, you know, is exactly what you want when your main supplier suddenly bows out. So where does all this leave us? What can this old school tech teach us about the challenge of just keeping things around in our digital age? It really comes down to what forever actually means. And let's be absolutely clear about this. Nobody is using microfilm because of nostalgia. It's not about being old-fashioned. It is a cold, calculated, and incredibly smart strategy. It's an admission that our digital world is way more fragile than we like to think. And for the stuff that really matters, our history, our culture, we need a backup plan that doesn't rely on software or even electricity. And in the end, that's exactly what it is. It's the ultimate fail-safe. It's our analog anchor in a very chaotic digital sea. It's the thing that ensures that no matter what happens to file formats or tech companies or power grids, our collective memory has a chance to survive. Which leaves us with one last, pretty massive question.
These archives have a plan, but for the rest of our digital lives, all our photos, our documents, our own personal histories floating around in the cloud, what's our plan to make sure any of it is still readable 500 years from now?